If you're watching this, I am recording this at halftime where it's 81-20 in favour of the Bulldogs. Why? Because the game's over, and B, because the implications of this will not change no matter what happens in the second half. Even if the Giants, because I don't think they're going to win, and you wouldn't be watching this if they end up winning, I just don't think that whatever the margin becomes at full time, I don't think the conversations and more importantly, the implications are going to change all that much. If they get it back to 3 or 4 goals, for example, I don't really think that I would sit here in an hour's time, live time, and going, geez, they put up a fight. This game's over. And I think the implications of it are worth talking about now. So the graphics that come up on the screen is still going to be either the full-time stats or I'm just not going to do the stats graphics at all because I think this conversation is going to be a relatively short one. So, let's keep cracking on into it. And first of all, of course, you got to start with the positives. The Bulldogs, holy Moses, the way that they were able to move the ball inside the first 10 minutes of this contest was astounding. Keep in mind that, like I said, we're at halftime right now. Sam Darcy's kicked 2 goals, 1. I think he's had half a dozen disposals and hasn't taken a mark. With how dominant that we know the Bulldogs can be and how dominant that reach is at its highest point, the fact that he's not really needing to hang on to the ball, whether it is relying on the whistle, and I don't mean that in a negative way. If the free kicks there, you got to pay them, and they absolutely have been there to pay because he is putting Sam Taylor in an absolute blender right now. My God, he's having a bad night. Poor Sammy Taylor, my man, but I'm not deserting him, but it does go to show you how good a structure must be. The gap between Jack Buckley and Lee Collier is astounding. St Kilda fans, are you still feeling good about that Lee Collier $3 million 4-year offer? Not sure, but I am loving everything else that St Kilda are doing at the moment, and I'm going to be doing a video on them at some point. So let's continue. Just the ball movement was astounding, and for the Giants, like some Freo fans got upset when I was like, the Hawks, if you're going to lose to someone, losing to Sam Switkowski is not really the way that you want to do it. And I feel like the Giants have gone through that because for the first 20 minutes of this game, yes, there were still Bulldogs players that were dominating and doing really well, but they were losing primarily to Oscar Baker and Caleb Poulter. And that's, I think, the bit that just kicks you in the guts a little bit, because if you are going to lose to the Dogs, sometimes you just look at Bont, you look at Ed Richards, you look at Libba, you look at these guys and go, yep, that's how we were beaten. Our midfield maybe just wasn't good enough, but the high half forwards weren't doing anything. They had 5 entries. The fact that they had a 20% goal from inside 50 rate in that first quarter, the Giants, is actually good. I think it's still under AFL average. I think the AFL average going into this round is 22.6. I could be wrong about that, but I did read it. The Bulldogs had 30%, so 3 out of every 10 sounds good in theory until you realise they had 20 inside 50s and kicked 6 goals from it. That bit's not great in the slightest. We call that a whoops, where we come from in Daztown. My God. Looking at it at halftime, I'm just going to bring it up sort of on the laptop here. This probably isn't great to watch, but my internet at the moment is just not doing the things that it's meant to. Tim English is just taking the absolute piss out of Kieran Briggs at this point in time. Holy smokes, that has been a smacking. But where are we at here? 1, 2, 3. This is how you count, by the way. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of the top 12 disposal getters at halftime. And that is everyone that has had double-digit disposals of Bulldogs players. So that, of course, being Bontempelli leading the way with 15. You got Libba, Aaron Norton, who, by the way, I will talk about him in just a second. Caleb Poulter, as I said before, Matt Kennedy, Tim English, Bailey Dale, Ed Richards, I only said Lou Richards then, Joel Frazier, and Rory Lobb. And then for the Giants, you've got Lockie Ash, Lockie Whitfield, and Tom Green. It's good for my multi, but other than that, not good for anything else. And it is the midfield. I said in my Every Contender's Fatal Flaw video, I said the Giants turning off for a quarter is not great. I said in my Giants mock draft video, like I said, that they're still, in my opinion, a midfielder short. My goodness gracious me. But at this point in time, the conversation now leads into, like, are the Dogs a threat? Yep, both of their wins now against top 8 teams have come against the Giants. Tick those off, how seriously you take them after this, because the Essendon game, it was kind of like, it was Essendon, and I don't mean to be rude, they're Bombers fans, I really don't. This is not a Hawthorn supporter taking a shot at you. It's just, it wasn't completely unexpected, whereas this definitely was. So I think this still has to make you stand up and take notice. Now, how much, again, is going to be completely up to you and completely objective and subjective, you could say. Do take quite a bit out of it. I think the form of Aaron Norton is something to go with, because for a guy who's apparently having an off year, he's, you know, still playing very good football. 7 goals last week, of course, so 10 in his last 6 quarters is astounding. I love the way that they are moving the footy. I'm loving the form of Riley Sanders, by the way, who I don't think I brought up in the double digits department. I didn't. What do you actually have in that first half? This is a lot of scrolling down. He had 5 touches in the first half, and I swear everything he did with them was good. It's astounding, the impact per possession. But the Dogs right now, off the chain, is awesome. I don't know who they've got in the last 3 weeks. This is why I don't record at halftime, because it seems like I'm unprepared. But right now, it's buy into them. However much you're buying into them, you're correct. If you think it's an absolute crap load because of how good their percentage is and the way that they were able to do this, awesome. I'm not a big subscriber in the fact that if you put Toby, Josh Kelly, and Jack Buckley into this team, that GWS win. There is no way that 3 players, I don't care which 3 players they are really, is going to make up a 61-point difference. Now, would it make a difference? Yes. Does that take away from the Bulldogs' performance? No, and I don't really want to hear any messaging to the contrary, to be completely honest. And then you go to the Giants' point of view, the 2 really disappointing things. Number 1, of course, is the midfield is just shit. From Briggs to Green to Tom, obviously, to Cornelio, who's at this point in time, we probably got to put in the washed category, if I'm being honest. That his type of midfielder just doesn't work in modern footy. Dylan Alexander did a really good video on the midfield bull and is it dying. The only thing about that video that I absolutely hate, and I love Dylan a big way, is that I was legitimately about to sit down and record because I had written out an entire video on the archetypal midfielder that no longer works. Opened up YouTube and his video was the first thing that popped up, so I canned it. So up yours, Dill, with love and respect. I love the work that he does. But the second thing that was such a big disappointment for the Giants was their pressure. It was non-existent at all. They did not want to move. They did not want to tackle. They did not want to help. Leaker stood in the hole a couple of times, like, yay, but Jake Riccardi, Jake Stringer, and I know they don't have to be known for this, by the way, just did not put any pressure on once the ball hit the ground. The fact that the Bulldogs were able to have such an aerial presence, not only forward of the ball, but behind the ball as well. Like, Lob was obviously really good. Donald did some nice things contested-wise in the air. And as soon as the ball hit the ground, it walked out. And that is the bit that's going to get the Giants in trouble. That's the bit that made me go, they can't be off for a quarter. That's the bit that makes you go, are they a pretender? Now, again, in my out there, like, weird hot takes preseason predictions, when I had the Giants out of my 8, and I know it sounds contradictory because in my actual ladder prediction, I had them in my 8, so it's kind of 50 cents of one and 2 20s and a 10 in the other, if you want to look at it that way. But the big reason why that take, I think, still resonated with me for a lot of the year before deciding I just don't think their top end is going to allow them to fall out, is stuff like this. Is stuff like, if they're not up for the fight early and they're not playing a team that's bad enough to let them back into it, are they going to get stuck here? Because it happened against the Lions and it's happened again tonight. And they've pulled it off. They had a really good win streak, and I'm not suggesting that they're going to absolutely crash and burn, but the loss of percentage is a really big deal, and the loss of confidence as well is going to be a massive thing. And yes, they're going to win at least 2 of their last 3 games because they've got North Melbourne and St Kilda. St Kilda are plucky, and I am going to be doing a St Kilda hate needs to stop video at some point in the near future because it's getting ridiculous, and I am on the Saints bandwagon a little bit for now. But I think they'll win both of those. If Gold Coast get up against them, then you're relying on that percentage. They might be the ones to miss out. It might just simply be who has the worst percentage, and right now it's them. So big problems at the Giants, and massive credit to the Bulldogs. And for however much they win by, I still think the first half is the conversation, because basically anything happens from here is either a bonus or they've taken their foot off the accelerator. And I don't think I can really knock them for either of those things, because when push came to shove and metaphorical punches need to be thrown, they turned into prime Mike bloody Tyson. Astounding to watch, astounding to witness. So there you go, guys. What do you think? Like the video. If you like the video, subscribe to join the Dad's Talks Footy family. And if this comes out before the final siren goes, let me know if you're watching it while the game's still going on. That would be really cool. Trying to hit 6K subscribers before finals start. I need your help doing so. I've already released 2 videos this week. One on every finals contender's fatal flaw, which you guys seem to really enjoy, and July's mock draft, which always gets mixed reviews, but I'm really proud of the work that I do on those. So if you go watch them, if you haven't already. My Hawks reaction to the Adelaide game is coming. I asked my 5-week-old daughter if the Hawks are going to win, and she licked my nose. So if that's not telling you that the Hawks are going to win by 5 goals plus, I don't know what does. But we're playing 4 tools. That is going to be interesting. Although I kind of like the dynamic. I like the ballsiness of doing it against the Crows. So we'll see how that goes. Thank you again for watching, you absolute superstars. Hope you're having a fantastic week. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.